Welcome. You're welcome to add your own playlist to this practice. It's raining outside, so I'll just listen to the rain. Bring your hands to your heart. Affirm that you are in charge of your own practice, that I am only a guide. That you practice towards your own well-being. Let that sink in for a moment, maybe what well-being means to you, what it feels like to you. Relaxing your hands down. You can change your seat. You can stay in seated hero or sit cross-legged. Begin by lifting your shoulders towards your ears. Feel what it feels if they are lifted towards your ears. That engagement. Maybe what happens to your rib cage, your hips. And push your shoulders down. And the same thing, as you actively push your shoulders down, notice what happens in the rib cage and your hips, maybe your head, maybe even your jaw. Lifting the shoulders back up. Just recognizing the pattern. It doesn't mean you have to change anything right now. Push your shoulders down. And then finding neutral. Moving your spine back, undulating the spine, lean back. Okay, notice what happens in the rib cage and the hips and the head, leaning back. And then drawing your chest forward. And leaning back again. And coming forward, and notice as you begin to add movement, if your breath can remain smooth, and we'll speed it up a little bit, undulating the spine, moving forward and back. Tucking the chin as you lean back. And reaching the chest and the throat forward and the chin as you reach forward. One more, leaning back and coming forward. Finding a neutral spine. Take your right arm overhead. Sit down into your right sitting bone and stretch over towards the left. Over center, same thing to the other side. Sitting into that left hip, stretch your left arm overhead. From side to side. And again, notice the rib cage, the movement of the rib cage, the hips, the head. Maybe it's sensible before we change anything just to notice what is available there already. How are we moving? How are we placing our bodies in space? Once more from side to side. Coming back over center, lift both your arms, cactus arms, draw your arms back and then bring them forward, forearms together, opening them up, sliding the shoulder blades towards each other and then apart. Two more, opening the chest and forward, opening the chest and forward. As you open this time, interlace your fingers behind your back. This may be available to you, it may be not. You're welcome to change the crossing of your legs. Reach your arms back, roll forward. So there's a reach and a lift in the arms as you bow forward. Again, the depth of the shape or the physical shape itself is less important than the sensations you're creating, the actions. As you move, just check in with yourself if you are working towards your well-being, if this feels, whatever shape you take, whatever action, if this is enhancing your well-being. That might not mean that whatever you do is super comfortable. And then you'll come back to center, release your hands, place your hands down, rock over your ankles, coming onto all fours. We'll do the same thing from all fours, interlacing your fingers behind your back and then rolling down, bringing your head to the floor. And you can lift your hips. If you know beforehand that, this is not going to work for you, keep your hands next to your side. Still rock forward, but keep your hands to the side. So you can steer the weight on your head more effectively. If you have your arms lifted, maintain that sense of lifting into the back body to navigate the weight. And then roll on your head a little. So small little movements. And you can linger at specific points. To me it feels unbelievably good. If it doesn't to you, come into child's pose or ease up on the pressure or intensity. Then slowly lifting up, so whether your arms are still behind you or next to you, coming to your seat. Place your hands on your thighs and give your body a moment to assess, to assimilate. To check in. Lift your hands, move your wrists a little from side to side. Open and flash your fingers, make a fist, flare your fingers. So just waking up around the wrists, if you like, holding your forearm and isolating that joint. You can do that. Maybe a good old shaking. Good. Interlace your fingers, push your hands forward. Lift your arms up all the way overhead. And then push the sky down towards the earth. Nice and slow, coming onto all fours and from all fours into down dog. In your down dog, pedal your legs, move your hips. And also notice that the power you have in your hands to claw your mat and push into the mat, as if you're pushing your mat away. So generate that sense of lifting by pushing your mat away. So that sense of expansion comes from a place of strength. Kick your right leg back. Open your hip. Level your hips again and step your leg forward in between your hands. Lower your back knee, lift your chest. Lift your hip bones, gently descend your ribs so you're not tucking back or tucking in. It's just a connection, a coming to center. Both arms forward and up. Rotate your right arm back. You'll be twisting arms out to the side or warrior two arms. Pivot your left hand down to the inside of your foot, right arm up. Notice your gaze. So look at your right hand and see if looking and even rotating your eyes can add to this spinal rotation. Come back to center. You'll touch down, step into downward facing dog. Move in your down dog. Kick your left leg back. Open your hip. Level the hips and step your leg forward. In between your hands. It can maybe take a few steps to get there. Place your back knee down. Notice the conversation between your hips and your ribs. Take your arms forward and up. Keep spinning your left arm behind you. You'll be in a twist. Excuse my back. And then begin to pivot, placing your right hand to the inside of your front leg. And look up towards your top hand, unless there is some restriction in your neck or in the body that prevents your neck from rotating that way. But imagine your neck rotating from the inner body and your gaze guides this rotation. So maybe by looking up and even a little bit beyond, you can increase this spinal rotation. You'll touch down, step into downward facing dog. Shift your weight forward into a plank pose. Hold your plank. Separate your feet mat width apart. And just lift your left arm. So just lift it. It's not quite a side plank yet. Place it down and lift the right. And place your hand down. Lower your knees. Lower your chest. Coming into a baby cobra. Fire up your legs, reach your chest forward and up. It's activating the muscles in your back body. Maybe you can imagine that the arms draw back or the shoulder blades draw onto the back. And lower your chest, we'll meet in downward facing dog. Pedal out the knees. Kick your right leg back. Lunge it forward. Pivot your back heel down. And lifting your arms for warrior two. Keep lunging through your front leg. Lift your shoulders here. And then push them down. And find neutral. Find that space where you have a sense of spaciousness. You can access being connected and spacious at the same time. Interlace your fingers behind your back. Humble warrior. We'll bow towards the front knee. Coming back up over warrior two, windmill your arms forward and down. So big arms, really circling the arms, lengthening the waistline. Lift your back heel, downward facing dog. The left leg kicks. Lunge it forward in between your hands. You will pivot open, so up and open into warrior two. Pivot your back heel down. And find your warrior two. Maybe moving the chest, moving the shoulders to find which feels or what feels connected, but also nice and spacious. Into humble warrior, interlace the fingers behind your back. Nice tall spine, pivot towards your front knee as you bow forward. Coming back to center, opening into your warrior two. Before we come back, pivot both feet forward. Interlace your hands behind your back, a forward fold. Imagine you pushing into your feet and let that strength from pushing down into the feet draw up the legs, into the pelvis, into your low belly. Imagine your low belly lifting and you folding over that lift. Bring your hands to your hips, come up halfway. Warrior two, left leg in front. Windmill the arms forward and down. You'll be in your downward facing dog. Move in your down dog. If you would like to take a break, coming onto all fours or into child's pose or a seat, do so. You can do that at any time. What I like about practicing at home, even if I use an online class, is I can add things, I can take away, you can chop and change as you like. There's a lot of freedom in that. You don't have to worry about disrupting a communal energy or a rhythm. You can really navigate your practice. From your downward facing dog, kick your right leg back. Lunge it forward in between your hands. So let me change. Pivot your heel back, opening into warrior two. Extended side angle. Place your hand on your thigh. Keep your top arm, so your left arm, onto the body so that you can feel this beautiful angle. And maybe you can lunge into that front leg a little bit more. Take your left arm overhead. Push into your left foot and reach through that left arm. Push into your right arm and lengthen your chest or your spine. Expand your chest. Notice where your gaze is going, the angle of your head. Use the strength of your legs and the strength of your center. We'll pivot into peaceful warrior. Keep lunging through that front leg. If it's too much, straighten your front knee. Windmill your arms forward and down. We'll meet in downward facing dog. From down dog, the left leg kicks. Lunge it forward in between your hands. Pivot your back heel down, big arms, warrior two. Notice how your shoulders are feeling. How you're holding your head, your ribs, your hips. Extended side angle, front arm to front thigh. The backhand to your body. So if you feel there's a curve, the hips are pushing out, maybe add a little bit of a lunge in that front leg and see what happens. So you might also have to maybe just lift your chest. Take that top arm overhead. Reach yourself long, push into that back foot. Reach through the right side of your torso, push into your left arm, lengthen through the left. Notice the angle of your jaw, or the holding in your jaw, holding of your eyes, your ribs, your hips. Coming into peaceful warrior, the arms open, warrior two, and then right hand to right leg. Reaching over towards the right. Windmill the arms forward and down, big arms. You'll pivot your back heel up. We'll meet in downward facing dog. From down dog plank. So widening your feet again, mat width apart. Lift your right hand, you really lengthen through the chest. So lifting the right hand and maybe now pivot onto the knife edges of your feet and extending that right arm up. Push into the left hand. So there's a nice feeling of integration in the shoulder joint. And we'll pivot back to center and change. So feet nice and wide apart, weight on the right side, just transfer weight. And you can stay here of course, or you can pivot onto the knife edges of your feet, push into this foundation, when I say the foundational hand, so that there's a sense of connection in that bottom shoulder. Taking the left arm up, you can look up. You can look down. So there's so many places to look. Just notice what you're doing with your head and your eyes. And then we'll pivot back to center. Lowering down all the way onto your belly. Once you're down, extend your arms at an angle forward. Imagine you clawing the earth, engage your legs, your glutes, track your chest forward and up. A nice lifted, wide-armed cobra. Wide-legged, wide-armed, broad-chested cobra. We'll lower down, make your way over child's pose if you like, to downward facing dog. From our down dog, we'll come onto all fours, cross the ankles behind you, sit back behind your heels. Scoot yourself forward for bridge pose, so you can come to lie on your back in any way that you like. You can also kick through your heels, sit nice and tall in Dandasana, extending the arms forward. Imagine you hugging a ball, and then reach forward, hold that ball, kick through your heels and begin to draw your waistline back. And nice and slow, you'll roll down. And you can go as slow as you like, but eventually you'll be on your back, maybe sooner than later. And then we will move into bridge together, bending both knees, placing the soles of your feet nice and wide apart. And then press into your feet. So press into your feet without lifting your hips, just press into your feet. Feel that engagement. Keep that engagement and then lift your hips, nice and slow. And if you feel you lose that pressing down into the feet, ease up a little bit and come back to pressing down into the feet. And imagine this lengthening of the hips, move over towards, from the hips to the knees and then down back into the feet. So you're creating this loop. And by pressing back down, maybe you draw your heels towards your glutes or your shoulders, or anyway, the direction of your head. Nicely settled on your shoulder girdle. There's a lot of space in your throat, your neck. And even if you're tucking your chin, that tucking of the chin is it's an effortless movement. So tucking the chin, but there's still a sense of ease around the ears, the jaw, the throat, the eyes, the face. And slowly lower down. So that was quite some time. Might feel that in the legs, the hips, the chest. Maybe you feel it in your toes. And then once more, this time if you want, you can add your arms. So traditional way of holding the arms, pushing into your feet. So maintain that action of pushing down, lifting your hips. So there's that sweet engagement between your hip bones and your rib cage. And if you like, roll your shoulders in, but see if you can roll your shoulders in underneath your body without dragging them down. So roll them in, maintaining that sense of broadness through the shoulders, broadness through the chest. Interlacing your hands if that's available. You're pushing into your feet. Feel that strength as you lift your hips. Maybe now there's a little bit more action in the shoulder girdle with the arms interlaced. Imagine drawing your feet towards your hands. And when you're ready, release, so lowering the chest, lowering the hips. You can keep your legs as they are or widen your feet and rest your knees together. And then keep your legs bent, cross your right leg over the left, lift your legs, interlace your hands behind your left thigh, and your elbows will, or your right elbow might rest against your right thigh or knee. So let it even push against each other, the thigh and the elbow. And then draw your left thigh towards your waistline. I like to have my feet active in this pose, so usually I kick through the mount of the big toe, or at least just flex my feet or spread my toes, something that helps me to connect to my feet, the extremities. And we'll change, so lowering your left leg, right leg down, left leg crosses over the right. Lifting both feet or legs, interlace your hands behind your right thigh, and this elbow maybe touches or can push into the left thigh, the left knee. And you're welcome to draw your thigh towards your body. Feet are alive. So by noticing your feet, you'll notice, so I tend to push through the outer edge of my foot. So by noticing your feet, when you activate them, is how do you activate them? Is it as if you're pushing through the outer edge, the inner edge, just curling your toes, or you can also point your feet, of course. And slowly release. Arms into a T. If you don't have a lot of space, you can use cactus arms. Lower the knees to the left or the right. And because this is your practice, you can stay in this twist for some time. We'll wind down towards Shavasana. So this is our last, besides Shavasana, our last pose. So if you would like to stay here, please do. There's variations to the twist. So change direction, scoot your ribs out from underneath you. So keep this twist nice and relaxed as an opportunity to notice the effects of the practice. Go back to that sense of well-being. That idea of well-being. And then from here, preparing for your Shavasana. Settling into your Shavasana. And I'm going to give you the opportunity to stay in Shavasana and coming out of your practice or closing your practice in your own time. I will bow my head to you, bring my hands to my heart, and ask that your practice may be blessed. Jai Bhagwan, and have a beautiful day.